What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, man. It's your boy BUDDQC. Alright, so without further ado, I want to just go ahead and hop right into it. Alright, let's talk about what power really looks like in the NFL. These running backs don't just move the chains, they move entire defenses. From Saquon Barkley's 2,000-yard season to Derrick Henry still bulldozing at 31. Granted, we know he's fumbling a little bit lately. These backs are redefining what dominance looks like. And don't sleep on the new wave. Robinson, Gibbs, and Bucky Irvin are bringing speed and strength. I'm talking about backs who don't ask for permission, they take territory. Alright? Drop a comment. Who's the most unstoppable back in the league right now? Okay, but without further ado, I want to go ahead and get into the video. But before we do, this video is paying homage, all right, to all the previous backs before the backs of to the day. Okay, so I want us to understand of like why the running back is so important. It's an important piece because, believe it or not, before the quarterback can launch that thing down and the wide receiver can catch the ball, we relied on the running back to get those yards for us. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. Peace.
A play that sends a jolt through the stadium, one that gets the crowd roaring and defenders second-guessing their choices. It's the kind where a running back lowers the shoulder and dares anyone to stop him. No finesse, no dancing around, just raw power, grit, and punishment. Fans felt it, defenses feared it. And while today's game leans more on speed and the air attack, there was a time when these downhill monsters ruled the field. This is about those backs, the ones who made a living off punishing hits and dragging defenders like they were part of the play. These are the hardest hitting running backs the NFL has ever seen. 1. Jim Brown. Few players in NFL history have ever embodied dominance quite like Jim Brown. He wasn't just fast or powerful, he was both all at once. Defenders couldn't figure him out because there wasn't just one way to tackle him. He could slip past them with grace or run straight through them like a freight train. In just 9 seasons, he won 3 MVPs and finished top 4 in voting nearly every year he played, making a habit of turning elite athletes into helpless obstacles. Even as he racked up league-leading numbers, including over 12,000 rushing yards and 126 touchdowns, Brown knew the cost of his style. The constant pounding wore on him early, and by the time he was 29, after leading the league in rushing for the 3rd year in a row, he walked away. But when he was on the field, he never held back. He dropped his shoulder into defenders, stiff-armed them into the ground, and made every tackle feel like a mistake. His philosophy was simple: make defenders regret ever trying. Hall of Famer John Mackey remembered the advice Brown once gave him. Make sure when anyone tackles you, he remembers how much it hurts. Brown didn't just live by that idea. He turned it into his legacy. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1971 and remains the gold standard for physical backs. 2. Earl Campbell. For those who grew up watching football before it turned into a quarterback's game, Earl Campbell is the name that comes up when power running is the topic. The sight of him barreling downfield, jersey torn, defenders bouncing off his massive legs, became a trademark. At 5'11" and 232 pounds, with thighs the size of tree trunks, Campbell treated tacklers like minor inconveniences. Born in Tyler, Texas, the Tyler Rose brought a homegrown ferocity to the game. Inspired by Dick Butkus, he modeled his game after the hardest hitters in the sport. By the time he reached the NFL in 1978, he was already a star, Heisman winner, All-American, and the #1, first overall pick. And from day one, he delivered. Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, then NFL MVP in 1979, followed by a career-high 1,934 rushing yards in 1980. It was a run of dominance unlike anything the league had seen. Even his gear had to be custom-made to protect him from his own strength. He was that rare back who looked for contact and usually won. 3. Walter Payton. Walter Payton was the perfect contradiction. They called him sweetness, but there was nothing gentle about the way he ran. 1 minute, he'd glide past a defender with ease, and the next, he'd lower the boom and bulldoze through a linebacker. That balance between elegance and aggression made him one of the most complete backs ever. As the heart of those gritty mid-'80s Bears teams, Payton brought the same toughness as names like Dent, Singletary, and Ditka. He had the shiftiness to escape a tackle, but almost always chose to go through instead of around. He stiff-armed with precision and refused to run out of bounds if he could lay a hit instead. Never die easy wasn't just his motto, it was his style of play. By the time he retired in 1987, Payton held records for rushing yards, touchdowns, and all-purpose yards. His game was a blend of art and violence, and the league never forgot it. 4. Eddie George.
Oh, Eddie George, man.
Eddie George was steady, relentless, and the kind of back who wore down defenses over 4 quarters. From 1996 to 2003, George defined football in Tennessee, carrying the Titans, formerly the Oilers, with over 10,000 career rushing yards and 74 total touchdowns. At 6 feet 3 inches and over 230 pounds, George was built like a linebacker, but ran with the patience of a seasoned pro. Year after year, he delivered 5 straight seasons with over 1,200 yards, peaking with 1,509 in 2000. He played every down like it mattered and left defenders bruised by the 4th quarter. Titans fans still talk about him as the toughest back they ever had, and it's not hard to see why. 5. Adrian Peterson. Few backs in the modern era combine speed, vision, and pure force like Adrian Peterson. Nicknamed All Day for his endless energy, he brought an old-school physicality into a new-age NFL. After tearing his ACL in 2011, most thought his best days were behind him. Instead, he came back in 2012 with one of the greatest seasons ever. 2,097 rushing yards, just 8 shy of the all-time record. Peterson's frame was carved out of granite. Every movement looked explosive. Every hit looked personal. At 6 feet 1 inch, 220 pounds, he didn't just run past defenders, he ran through them. Whether it was the 296-yard run as a rookie or the violent hits he delivered against the Browns and Steelers, his highlight reel played more like a demolition tape than a skill showcase. 6. Jerome Bettis.
Oh,
Jerome Bettis may have started with the Rams, but it was in Pittsburgh where the bus became a legend. He was a freight train in cleats. Defenders knew what was coming, but stopping it was a different matter. Bettis thrived in bad weather, especially in the cold, gritty, late-season matchups where backs were expected to wear down. That's when he turned up the punishment. Early on, he had enough burst to surprise defenses, but over time, he became the definition of a bruiser, delivering punishing runs up the middle and carrying defenders on his back like extra luggage. His size, balance, and vision made him a nightmare in short yardage, but his real strength was consistency. He kept the chains moving and wore down defenses with every hit. Even in the final stretch of his career, the physicality never faded. At age 33, in the final 100-yard game of his career, he lowered his shoulder and sent Brian Urlacher flying, one of the toughest linebackers of his era. Bettis retired a Super Bowl champion in his hometown of Detroit with 8 1,000-yard seasons and a Hall of Fame jacket in 2015 to cap off one of the most respected careers ever by a powerback. 7. Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson didn't always look like a power runner, but defenders found out quickly that avoiding his hits was just wishful thinking. At 6 feet 3 inches with a long stride and upright running style, he could torch defenses with speed or flatten them when the situation called for it. He didn't shy from contact, he handled it when necessary, and more often than not, dished out the harder blow. When he entered the league in 1983, he didn't just make a splash, he broke it wide open. Dickerson set rookie records with 1,808 rushing yards, then stunned the league again the next year with a record-setting 2,105 yards, a mark that still stands. His 7 straight seasons of over 1,200 rushing yards to start his career set a tone of dominance few have matched. Injuries caught up with him late in his 11-year career, but the first half was a masterclass in power-speed balance. 6 Pro Bowl selections, 5 All-Pro nods, and 3 years where he was in the top 2 for MVP say everything. Dickerson ran through defenses with purpose, and whether it was with the Rams or other teams, the outcome was the same: yards, punishment, and records. 8. Marshawn Lynch. Known as Beast Mode, Lynch brought raw chaos to the field. He had that rare mix of balance, lower body power, and pure determination that made it feel like he was playing by different rules. The contact didn't slow him, it fueled him. And the highlights? They're seared into NFL history. The 2010 Beastquake run put him on the national radar in a way no running back had been in years. Seattle was barely hanging on against New Orleans, and Lynch changed the entire game with one of the most violent runs in NFL playoff history. He broke multiple tackles, stiff-armed Tracy Porter into another dimension, and triggered a literal earthquake from the crowd's eruption. That wasn't a one-off. In 2014, he followed it up with another jaw-dropping run that people call Beastquake 2.0. Game after game, Lynch turned simple handoffs into statement plays. His physical style brought back memories of older, tougher eras. Off the field, he was funny, calm and laid back. On the field, he was anything but. 9. Mike Alstott. There's a reason Mike Alstott's name still rings out in football conversations nearly 2 decades after his last snap. He wasn't just a fullback.
I remember this man used to run the ball. He was just nasty, man. He was vicious.
Defenders didn't just have to deal with his blocks. They had to tackle him too. And good luck with that.
It's rare that you even see a fullback nowadays. I really don't see him back there like in this modern day football.
He was taking the ball himself and running straight into the teeth of defenses. Over 5,000 rushing yards, 58 touchdowns, and more than 300 receptions speak to his complete role in Tampa Bay's offense. He wasn't just short yardage. He could break one loose or flatten a linebacker in space. He helped power the Bucs to a Super Bowl title and carved out a legacy as one of the last true fullbacks who could change a game on his own. 10. Bo Jackson.
All right, now I was finna say, man, we ain't got Bo Jack on here. That's crazy.
And he didn't play like anyone else either. In just 4 seasons with the Raiders, he left a legacy that most backs can't match in a decade. He had the speed of a sprinter and the strength of a defensive end, and he could pull from either one on any given play. The talk about his 40-yard dash time is still legendary, with hand time reports of 4.12 or even faster. But it wasn't just about how fast he was, it was the violence he brought when defenders dared to square up. His most iconic moment came against the Seahawks in 1987, when he bulldozed Brian Bosworth into the end zone after the linebacker trash-talked him in the media. That same night, he also burned the defense for a 91-yard touchdown. He left defenders spinning, teammates in awe, and fans wondering what more could have been if injuries hadn't cut his career short. For those who saw it, Bo Jackson wasn't a myth. He was the real deal, and he did things no one else could. That's all for today.